Do you find it suspicious that societally we're not supposed to talk about paranormal things? So this is one of my paranormal videos. I tell about the paranormal things that happen to me in my life so as to normalize doing it so that other people will start coming out with paranormal experiences in their lives to make them not as spooked out by the taboo that we're not supposed to discuss the paranormal. Isn't that weird though? If you had something personally paranormal happen to you and you're shunned and prevented and they don't want you to talk about it publicly, it's impolite, it makes you wonder why? Serious, why? It's almost as if some paranormal beings don't want us talking about when they make paranormal visitations. I don't know. And the second insight of the Celestine prophecy talks about the history where after the Reformation that science and religion became responsible for two different realms. The science only dealt with the physical empirical world and the religion dealt with the paranormal world. But the religion would keep it within their boundaries and the science would keep it in their boundaries. And so the spiritual, which doesn't get governed by either, is what gets shunned. To the fifth insight of the Celestine prophecy, the message of the mystics, it says that we are supposed to talk about the paranormal experiences so that we could start to find similarities, commonalities, so we could maybe repeat some experiments, learn others' techniques, so we could put a little bit of science to it, but not within the restrictions of science. And so with that preface, first I'd like you all to comment in the section below why you think the paranormal discussion is forbidden from polite society. And the reason for this video, I was watching Stranger Things season 4 episode 6. It's when 11 is in that underground facility lab where I forgot the doctor's name, but it's where she was, I guess, kept in captivity, but it's a new location for them. Secret location, underground. And as I was watching it, when she was walking through these rooms, the way the place looked reminded me of a out-of-body experience that I had unintentionally when I was an infant. I think I was 2 years old. I think I had croup, and I was in the hospital, and I was in a oxygen tent. And I have perfect memory of leaving the oxygen tent, seeing the oxygen tent, being above the oxygen tent, seeing my body. It was kind of like strapped down to the bed so I wouldn't move. And again, when you leave your body, you're just kind of like, all right, it's kind of weird. There's your body. I didn't think anything of it. Again, I'm like 2 years old, so I don't have too much experience in the real world yet. But I could travel through the walls. So, I just decided, also, I could see the whole room. And there was a black and white television set attached to the ceiling. I didn't even, when I think about it, I was like, wow, how did they have the tech back in like 1981 to attach a big, because this is back when the TVs were cathode ray tube, CRT, or, the big TV sets. And it was attached to the ceiling, and I saw my mom sleeping on a chair. And I remember thinking, man, this lady must really love me that she's sleeping in this chair here. She must be worried out of her mind that her child is sick. But anyway, once I had those thoughts, I then just started traveling. I went through the walls, like literally, I traveled right through the walls. And I'm just going through the hospital, and I'm going through hallways, and I see the orderlies or the paramedics or whatever they're called, the hospital personnel bringing people through on stretchers. And as I'm, I guess, floating through, I'm amazed that they don't see me. Nobody sees me. I'm just traveling through, and hospital people are doing hospital things. And I just keep traveling. And then I get to this room that looks like the room in Stranger Things. And there's a kid there, and he sees me, and he says, you're not supposed to be here, right? This is against the rules. And I said to him, I'm like, what do you mean? What am I doing wrong? yeah, you know you're not supposed to be here. You're breaking the rules. Like, what am I doing? What am I doing wrong? I didn't want to break the rules. I wanted to do the right thing. He's like, no, you're not supposed to leave your body like this. And I'm like, I didn't even mean to leave my body. What are you even talking about? Like, okay, what should I do? And he's like, you should go back to your body. And so I think, okay, how do I even get back to my body? And I kind of wanted to like play with the kid. I wanted to have a friend and play with, you know, back, I don't know if they still do this, but in the waiting rooms, they used to have like abacuses and toys for kids. And I just kind of wanted to just play toys with the kid. But the kid was like real mean. And he was the only one that could see me. And he's like, yeah, no, you got to get back. You got to get back. So I'm like, how did I even get here in the first place? Like, it kind of occurred to me, like, how did I even wind up here? And he's like, just go back the way you came. And I'm like, just like through the walls? And he's like, yeah, don't you remember going through them to get here? And I'm like, yeah, kind of, but that's kind of weird. All right, whatever. So I just traveled back to the walls, just hoping I'd find my room, and I eventually did. And I guess I went back in my body, and that's kind of where that memory ends. But the point of mentioning all this is that this is real. You could actually leave your body, and I didn't do it just once. I did it twice, and I'll get to that, but I want to finish this particular thought. So when I was watching the Stranger Things episode, and I'm seeing these rooms, I'm like, man, this really looks like what I remember. This would really blow my mind if 11 walks into one of these rooms and some kid is there and says, you know you're breaking the rules, you know you shouldn't be here. And sure enough, it happens.
You shouldn't be wandering the halls.
It's against the rules.
And not safe.
And I'm just like, I was thinking this before the scene happens. I'm like, man, if she walks into a room and some kids are there and they say, you're not supposed to be here, you're breaking the rules, it's going to blow me away. And it happened. So then I'm sitting there thinking, how? Whoever wrote this scene, like, that's why you need to talk out about the paranormal, because whoever wrote the scene must have had a similar experience and maybe made the scene with this exact dialogue that they probably experienced too, in hopes that somebody like me would come along and say, hey, I had this experience, this out-of-body experience in a hospital when my body was in a tent. I went through walls. Nobody in the hospital could see me, but this one kid in this one area could see me and told me I was breaking the rules, that I shouldn't be doing this, and then I need to go back to my room. It's interesting that bird was making all that noise. Sometimes in movies, when important information gets dropped, usually like noise and surrounding sound, or people start talking over to prevent the communication from happening. But the bird's kind of stopped now. All right, so the second experience was, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years later. I was in middle school. I must have been 5th grade. And even to this day, I don't like having to get up early. That's why I'm not more successful in life, because I'm just not a morning person. And the early bird gets the worm, and the world is designed around early birds. And I'm a late owl, and I love the night. I don't like getting up. I love sleeping. I have such an amazing dream world that it's hard for me to want to wake up, because I'm having such a blast in the dream dimension, which, if we get the right amount of sleep, we spend 1/3 of our lives in, yet are also not supposed to talk about what happens in the dream world. So I'm going to be making a lot more videos about what occurs in the dream world for me. I've been keeping notes for years. Also, if you've never seen the video on my channel from my book Simulation Theory, there's a chapter in the book called Dreams, and those were my dreams that I had written down from like 2000 to 2006. Some of them were bananas. I don't get to sleep as much because I've been working the last 20 years. Like, I don't get to the last level of sleep like I used to get back when I had more time to sleep. But occasionally I do. So I've been keeping track of those between 2012 and maybe 2008 and 2024. So I'm going to make some videos on those. I've just been writing them. I don't even remember half of them. So that'll be interesting. Anyway, so I'm in 5th grade, and I got up, at least I thought I got up, and I went to the kitchen just to get my breakfast from my mom. And as I'm walking to the kitchen, I'm feeling kind of strange, but nothing's occurring to me yet. I'm just like, oh man, if I had to get up right now, I don't know how I'm gonna wake up out of this. I feel so relaxed. Got to the kitchen, I see my mom washing the dishes, and usually when I would poke around the corner, she'd like know I was there and would always turn around to greet me. Good morning, Jonathan. But she didn't turn around to greet me, which I thought was strange because she always would. And I look at the oven, and there was a clock on it, and I saw that it was not the time that I normally had to get up to wake up. She had to wake up earlier than I was because she was a teacher, so she had to be at school before the kids. And so she was up getting ready to go because she taught high school, and high school began earlier than middle school. And I was like, wow, okay, it's not time to get up. So I was thrilled. I was like, all right, I get to go back to bed. My mom doesn't see me, so like, you know, if you get in a conversation with somebody, it kind of wakes you up. And so I was like, she doesn't see me. It's just so weird. She doesn't know I'm here. She doesn't know I'm in the room. I turn around to go back to my bed, and then I really start feeling like in fact, it was kind of like the feeling like if you're peeing on yourself. I wasn't peeing on myself, but I'm sure you've done it at some point. Maybe when you're in the ocean, the sirens, they don't want me to talk, right? They're doing, I hope the audio is coming out. But it felt that relaxed sensation of, you know, kind of going on yourself, and this like weird, not electric, but like some kind of like an electric sensation down like the back. But I was really relaxed, really relaxed. And as I got to my room, I saw my body in the bed, and I'm like, all right, so what am I supposed to do here? And you kind of look at it and you're like, again, when this happens, you might think, hey, dude, it's your body. It doesn't. No, I just saw it. I was confused. I was like, wow, what do I do here? How do I get back in my bed if I'm already in the bed? I didn't know about the concept of out of body experiences or anything like that. And when you're a kid, you're experiencing all these new things in life. So you're like, all right, well, how does this work? So I'm sitting there seeing the body, and I just want to get back in my bed and go back to sleep. I'm seeing the body. I'm like, so what do I do now? What do I do here? What do I do now? What do I do now? And then all of a sudden, like, my eyes open up, and I'm in my body, I'm in my bed, and I'm trying to move, and none of my body parts are moving. Like, I'm paralyzed. And to the point where I'm like desperately trying to move my legs, my feet, my everything, and I can't move anything. And now I'm starting to like kind of panic, and I'm thinking of like, oh man, you know, maybe this is like a alien invasion, an alien encounter. But then I remembered walking back to my room when nobody could see me. I saw my dad was getting ready for work, and so I thought, the boogeyman can't get me. My dad's awake. And as soon as I had that feeling of security, all of the delayed movements that I made all happened at once. So I'm talking like, whoa, 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 whoa. Every movement that I made that didn't happen, all happened at once. Kind of like on a computer when, when you click, 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 and it's frozen. And then finally when the processing all catches up, like a gazillion windows open up, or like, all the commands that you tried doing all happen at once. Or like when you're trying to type and your computer freezes and you're like, and then all the characters pop up. So it was like that. And I almost like flew off my bed. And I'm like, okay, that just happened. That's weird. Wow. Okay. So now I'm like, well, I guess I'm up at this point. I went in the kitchen. I tried to tell the story to my mom. I'm like, hey, did you hear me walk in a couple minutes ago? And she had no idea. And I told her the whole experience. She's kind of like, didn't really register to her. I don't think it would register to too many people in the early 90s. It must have been like, maybe it was 89 or 90. So yeah, so I just had to kind of like live with that. Who are you going to tell? And then if you try telling your friends, they think you're just telling a tall tale. I'm telling the story 30 years later, 35, 40 years later. I'm not trying to impress you. I don't even know you. I need to tell you that these things happen. So it's 2 out-of-body experiences. One was in the hospital, saw my body in the tent, saw my mom, saw the TV set, went through, saw hospital personnel doing hospital personnel stuff. Then got to a room, saw this kid there. He could see me. He told me, hey, you shouldn't be doing this. You're breaking the rules.
You shouldn't be wandering the halls.
It's against the rules.
And not safe.
You're being a bad kid. Go back. All right, went back, through the walls, got back to my room, or my hospital room, got back in my body. That's all I remember from that. The second time, middle school, I get up to go to the kitchen, see my mom, but she doesn't see me. Once again, like, they don't see me. Go back, see my dad in his bedroom getting ready for work, see my body in the bed, wind up back in my body, can't move any body part, and then all of a sudden delayed. Everything that I was trying to do happened at the very end. I almost fly off the bed, and then I was pretty much awake at that point. So anyway, I say all that. That's 2 out-of-body experiences that I experienced at age 2 and age 12. I don't know what age I was in 5th grade. I had middle school, and my 5th grade was at middle school. Even though most kids, 6th grade is middle school, they had just opened this new prototype school, and it only had 5th and 6th grade. And so that's why I said I was in middle school, but I was in 5th grade. Middle school starts a little later in the day than high school. That's why my mom was awake. That's why I didn't think I had to be awake. But anyway, those are those stories. Make it with I think everybody has a story of having some kind of out-of-body experience. Unintentional. Both of these were unintentional. It wasn't like I was meditating or doing yoga as an 8-year-old. Like, I wasn't trying to do this. It just happened both times. And I didn't even, when I saw the body, I was like, okay, so what do you do now? What do you do? Or even going through the walls. Like, I could just go through these walls? Yeah, how do you think you got here in the first place, guy? Yeah. Man, now there's helicopters. So anyway, to wrap up, once again, think to yourself, why is it societally unacceptable for us to discuss paranormal experiences, such as out-of-body experiences? How many people have them? Near-death experiences. Near-death experiences are somewhat acceptable, except when you start telling people that, oh, yeah, I kind of have some new psychic abilities, or people having versions of strokes where they gain new abilities, or brain surgery, having tumors removed, and suddenly you have all this mathematical ability. So yeah, not only that, everybody watches the X-Men and they think that's okay. It's kind of like, do you really know what an X-Men is? Also, I think they remove all of the extraordinary children and remove them from society and use them in secret projects. I've still been waiting for the last starfighter to show up to come get me. Drop below any paranormal experiences that you've been holding on your chest your whole life. Here's the place to do it. If you want to see more of my paranormal experiences, check my channel. I do one about my encounter with a shadow person, one where I had this glowing stuff coming from my hands, a couple others. Anyway, may the force be with you. See you next time.